Hi everyone.
Welcome back to another Monday Guide. I am Boppus, and with me,
And I am and I am Badger.
we are the guys who never can introduce ourselves. Today we're gonna talk about field marshals, generals, and the tanks. Which field marshal general do you want when you're gonna have a tank army or fight with tanks?
Yeah, or more specifically, we're going to talk about the traits of
Yeah.
field marshals, the traits of generals, stats of both, and
Yeah.
then personality traits as well. So how
Yeah.
to optimize everything and kind of what trade-offs do you do and what do you pick over something else when you want to optimize your build for playing with tanks, basically.
Yeah. The prioritization
Yes,
between
that's the
every
word.
choice you have in the tank, the general and field marshal
Yeah,
traits.
and maybe full disclaimer as well. We're recording this on a Friday night. It's off 12 o'clock at night, and we're drinking alcohol-free beer now. That was the ding one more time. So we're into alcohol-free beer number 4 each or 5 each now.
Yeah.
I think Belgium style and Czech style. So some of them are more alcohol-free than others. So this is going to be a fun episode.
Yeah.
And I mean, you're watching this pretty much on a very early Monday morning at some point in the future.
Yeah.
So it's going to be like some kind of weird
Dissonance.
out of touch. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
But so the design of this episode then, right? So
Yeah.
we're getting this straight. It's that we will talk about these 4 different topics. So we're going to start with stats, and then we will talk about general traits, then field marshal traits, and then lastly personality traits.
Yeah.
How
And
to
everything
optimize it for a tank build.
in the context of tanks. And
Yeah,
the first thing
yeah.
and the first thing we want to talk about is the stats. You have attack stats, defense stat, you have planning, and you have logistics. And when I'm thinking about this, there's 2 stats that really does it for me when I'm fighting with tanks. And if I have the choice, I would go for attack stats and logistic stats. That's my 2 first picks with tanks. Attack stats, pretty easy. Comparing it with planning, because planning also gives attack bonuses or attack modifiers. There's 2 things here. You want I won't go into all the modifiers. There's a guide for that. But still, it's better to have more attack stats than planning stat because of the mechanics behind it. So that's the first. And the second thing is that if you get counterattacked, you still get the attack stat, but you will lose the planning stat. And the planning stat will go down eventually, but you still regain the attack stat always.
Yeah, and hopefully you're not playing a grand battle plan build where you basically put all your cards on planning stats.
Yeah.
Hopefully you can have some breakthroughs and some like really, mobile warfare kind of play style when you play a tank player, especially in multiplayer. I know single player can be more static and you can build up planning more easily against the AI. But in multiplayer, you don't usually have that much of that luxury to build up that planning. Well, you need to be like more on the go and more right clicking, basically.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, but I completely agree with you that I put down in my notes as well, attack and supply prio. And so when I pick my generals, like, so it's different compared to what you play, right? So if you're playing Germany or if you're playing the UK or something, you usually have like a short list of generals that are, have the right stats from the get-go. So it's kind of like a default picking. But if you're playing some other minor country you start with like a clean slate and nothing like or very little to choose from. Then you can usually like build your generals from the ground up, and then I would prioritize if you can tilt it to one way or another, and I think we'll come to that later.
Yeah.
Then I agree with you. I would prioritize attack stat as number 1 and logistics as number 2. And logistics for the pure reason that tank divisions are really heavy supply wise.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you want to make a thrust somewhere, like a push somewhere, you really need to push that down the supply consumption as much as you can. and that's what that stat is really all about. Like make them, like you want to stack them more concentrated, and that stat gives you that opportunity.
Yeah, and I would say I could even switch them in certain instances, going for logistical stats first. If I have a country that has good logistical bonuses from the start. So if I have good logistical bonuses from the start, and I also choose a general and field marshal with great logistical stats, you can push that down really, 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 really low. We were talking about in the last episode about a guide I did when I pushed down supply consumption by 97% or something like that.
Yeah, it's crazy. If you
And
like
and if you do that and you're gonna fight on the Eastern Front in China, in India, in Africa, then you will have a huge advantage
yeah.
against your enemy. So logistical stat could be number one for me, and
Yeah.
sometimes is.
Yeah, and maybe some of you think now that, okay, that really doesn't matter. I'm playing Germany. I'm picking Manstein, a good area, and so I don't really care because those are the generals that you can pick. But like, but a lot of players play minors that starts with like
Yeah.
no good general, and they have to start from scratch, and then. I'm kind of jumping to the fourth thing we're going to talk about a little bit. I'm just touching it now, and we'll come back to it. But big disclaimer: personality traits, they are we'll call it like they a certain personality traits make your general, when they go up in level, get their stats in like a prioritization or
Yeah.
weighted prioritization. So some personality traits makes your general like prone to get more attack or logistics or defense or planning, depending
Yeah.
on what kind of personality traits they have. So that's why the personality traits are super important when you're gonna grind up a new general. Because if you want to have attack stats or if you want to have logistic stats, if
Yeah.
that's the prioritization, then you don't want to have a personality traits that gives you other stats.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why it's actually a choice,
Yeah.
especially in single player when you grind something up from scratch.
Yeah, and yeah, I really love general grinding. That's
Yeah,
that's a whole other episode, but yeah, really grinding up in general from level 1 is
yeah.
really fun.
All right. So are we going into bullet number 2, the traits on a general?
Yes, we are.
So I've taken. I mean, this is gonna feel like the most obvious one ever, and then no one will disagree with me, I suppose. But okay, so
I
the
might.
okay, you might. So the traits on a general that I would prioritize if I would either grind up a new general, if I would pick a general that's already like ready to go, so to speak.
Yeah.
Depending on what counter I play for a tank play. I would first one Panzer leader, and then upgrade it to Panzer expert. Basically, gives you the stats for rolling with tanks. So that would be my number one. My number two would be cavalry leader, upgraded to combined arms expert, because then I've covered all my battalions in my division. So I have all the buffs on all my units to give my units extra attack and defense stats. That's basically what I'm doing. Because a tank division usually have tanks in rows, and then you have either motorized or mechanized in rows, and those four traits gives you that. After that, and now it might be where it kind of like there might be opinions on this, I suppose. And if you're not agreeing with me so far, please interrupt. But now I would prioritize trickster after this one. So trickster is the 25% recon bonus, and this is a very, very, very important one if you know how the tactics mechanics work, because extra recon is important for picking the right tactics, and the right tactics when you're fighting and slugging out on the Eastern Front or in LLMain or wherever is kind of important. The level of general is very important, but the tactics and how that works is also very important. And what's more added to that is because from the trickster you can upgrade the what called like improvisation expert or whatever it's called.
Improve, yeah,
So you move quicker, and movement tends to be important when it comes to tanks. But that requires a land trait as well. But still
yeah,
important.
yeah,
And yeah, so I can pause there. I have one more, but I can pause there.
yeah. The first thing I look for is a trickster.
The first thing you look for is a
Yeah,
trickster.
because it's easier to get a panzer leader with your tanks than it is to get a trickster. So if I have a trickster, I can grind the terrain expert I need and
Yeah.
get that extra 10% movement. Because
Yeah.
if I'm playing solely with tanks, I'm well assured that I will get Panzer Leader after that.
Yeah, at some point. That's right.
At some point, I will get Panzer Leader and have the possibility to quickly go to combined or expert. Because I wouldn't go to of course
Very, very good point.
I understand your thinking about having both Panzer Leader and Cavalry Expert, but
Yeah.
usually you get Panzer Leader, and I would go if I have to choose between Panzer Expert or Combined Arms Expert. I would always choose Combined Arms Expert because Panzer Experts give you
Yeah, it's
10%
not coming.
extra.
Yeah.
Combined Arms gives you 15% extra, and you usually have at least the equal amount of tanks and mechanized in a tank unit. Usually more mechanized. So I would say Combined Arms Expert is more important.
I mean, that's a very much in-house rule thing, I think. So if I would play vanilla, I would probably, and single player, I would probably have an overweight of tanks, though. So
Yeah,
because you don't need that much org when you play against AI.
but you
So
need some. Yeah, but you need the HP at least.
yeah. I mean, it's true, but the reason we have those template rules is because it's overpowered to have too much tanks in relation to
Still, but it's
mechanized or
10% to
motorized.
50%.
Yeah.
Yeah, it depends.
But you're still right.
Go for
In
the
multiplayer, you're right.
Yeah, and go for, of course, when you choose combined export or Panzer expert, go
Yeah.
with the one that fit your templates the most. Because you get the
Yeah.
bonus, doesn't matter if you get bonus on mechanized, because that bonus go over to the tanks as well. It's just between the how much you have in percentage of mechanized compared to tanks.
So talking about the cavalry leader, if you make let's say you make you take a like fresh general and you want to start grinding him, and you're ready to go divisions of armor to start fighting, right?
Yeah.
Will you get cavalry leader with those templates if you grind?
I don't think so. I'm a little bit unsure here if you can get both cavalry leader and panzer leader.
No, exactly, because I think you will only get the panzer leader one. I think you will have like you will have to weight your templates to be cavalry to be able to get the cavalry leader.
Yeah.
And if that's true, and now I'm taking this out of pure memory now and gut feel, but if that's true, then you would also want to pick a general with cavalry leader, right? So
Yeah.
it's the same logic as trickster.
Yeah.
Because we know that you're going to get panzer leader no matter what.
Yeah.
So you would either like trickster, of course, but cavalry leader would be more prioritized over panzer leader then.
Yeah. And then
To
grind
get the
that terrain
combined arm,
trait and then get the rest of the panzer traits.
Yeah, I agree. And then and I have an additional.
We agree.
Yeah, we agree. And I have an additional one. Yeah. And this is more like a certain user case. It's like Germany invading France or something like that, but it's the engineer one as well.
Yeah.
It's not, I mean, it's certain user cases like assaulting cities or assaulting like the Maginot Line or something like that, or LLMain even.
Yeah.
Like if you're not going for assault guns, but you play like regular tank build, and you want to have those extra fort busting or river crossing, something like that. Like then you take a I think Manstein, does he starts with it?
My memory.
I can't. Yeah,
no.
And it's difficult because we play the mod usually, but TFB. But I think Manstein starts with the engineer. But anyway, doesn't matter. Like, but take tank, like a general with and like engineer and then fortress buster.
Yeah.
And then you can also pick the siege artillery activation on top of that.
Yeah.
And then you have all the buffs you need to run over any kind of fort and cross
Yeah.
any river, basically. So it's like getting across that, tile or that river line or fortress line, like the Maginot line.
Yeah.
And then you're golden. So it's like it's a certain use case, but it's still an important one.
Yeah. With that, I think I have said everything I wanted to say about generals.
Yeah.
Should we move on
Field
to
marshals.
field marshals?
Let's go for field marshals.
Yeah.
This might be a water divider. Let's see.
It might be, because with a field marshal, I would love to have an inflexible strategist. Which sounds wrong with talking about tanks, but the thing is having
But now, okay, so sorry, but now you're moving to okay, it's fair. You're still like in the field marshal place, but isn't this kind of like a personality trait though?
Yeah. Yeah,
like,
it might. Okay.
But okay, let's go for it. Continue.
Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah. Because with inflexible strategists, you're able to have the unyielding defender, which sounds really, really bad with a tank field marshal. But the unyielding defender gives you defense, which everyone probably knows, or no one. That defense also gives a breakthrough, because Paradox can't code if their lives depended on it. So you get 10% extra defense and 10% extra breakthrough with the unyielding defender, which is really, really good. Yes, both for attacking, and when the counterattacks comes in, you have more defense to actually defend your organization with. So that's one thing I want. I want the unyielding defender and the offensive doctrine. And the offensive doctrine gives more attack, which is always good.
But now you're already contradicting yourself, because you can't have the offensive doctrine and unyielding defender on the same field marshal.
No.
It's not possible. It's literally not possible.
No. I think you're missing. You can't have unyielding defender and aggressive assaulter. Isn't that the choice you make? I'm starting the game now because I need to look this up.
Okay. I have the game up. Let's
check it.
Okay, so double check it now. So I'm taking a field marshal. You can't. No, you can't. It's because unyielding defender. Maybe. Okay, I'm
it's
kind
a little. I want to say it's a little bit abstract when we're talking and don't have the game up.
No, okay, wait. Maybe you're right. Actually, maybe you are able to take offensive doctrine and unyielding defender.
You might be
right.
Yeah, of course I'm right.
Wow. Okay. You kind of blow my mind here now. So I didn't consider that, because you might take inflexible strategist, unyielding defender, and offensive doctrine. You are right.
Oh my god. My heart rate just...
No. But I haven't tried it in game, but just by the look at it, when I look at it now, it looks like you're right.
Yeah, you can.
Because yeah. All right. So okay.
You can't take aggressive assaulter and unyielding defender.
No, you're right.
And the thing with aggressive assaulter is that it gives you breakthrough, but unyielding defender also gives you breakthrough.
No, you're right.
And the bad thing with aggressive assaulter is that you get bonuses for, I don't remember, it's 2 tactics like shock or something like that. And with tanks, I want blitz and I really want breakthrough. Those are the 2 only tactics I want to roll every time I attack. So get extra bonuses for anything else. No.
Yeah, and you can't this is also a thing that I think many players miss, that things that gives you, it's also like with spirits. So if you pick spirits, that kind of gives you a higher chance to roll a certain strategy, or a tactic. You might not want that if you have a certain build.
No.
So getting extra shock, you you might not want that if you have a tank build, because you want to
No.
have the blitz one or the breakthrough one, right?
Yeah.
So no, I'm 100% with you on this one, because the offensive doctrine is really important to not that like that minus 30% buff in movement.
Yes.
Super important.
Yeah.
And a yielding defender. So I have a counter argument to that one.
Okay.
Are you ready for it?
I'm ready. 1 second.
Yeah.
Go.
I wouldn't pick either. I wouldn't pick either aggressive assaulter or a yielding defender.
Okay.
Because when it comes to, and this is, I mean, in the perfect of worlds, if your field marshal is very high level, yes, I would pick either. Like one of them would be good to pick, of course. Either aggressive assaulter or a yielding defender, depending on your setup, right? But I would most likely prioritize those stats or that trait somewhere else, because usually when you play tank, you already have breakthrough enough. And if you're being attacked or counterattacked, you're not playing right. that would be my, like, you want to attack with tanks, and you want to have your infantry to soak the counterattacks. So you're not in a position where you get countered attacked with tanks. So I usually you have breakthrough enough, unless you go for like a light tank build or something like that. Then you might not have breakthrough enough. But if you go for medium tanks or heavy tanks, then you should have breakthrough, all the breakthrough you need. Or if you go for mechs, then you have all the breakthrough you need. So then you don't need those traits. Then I would rather pick something else, maybe.
And which pick? Because I have one pick.
Yeah, now I come to the number one. And this is the first one I would pick.
Oh,
Are you ready? Log wizard,
Yeah.
logistical wizard. Yeah. Because the reason why, okay, it's twice. It's two things. The reason why logistical wizard is the most important one is actually for the extra supply button you get from it.
Yeah.
So you have the minus 15, I think it's
15.
15.
Yeah, 15.
Yeah, in vanilla,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. So you have minus 15% supply consumption, which is crazy good. And it's additive to the stats and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
But also you have that extra supply button, which gives you, is it 7 days out of supply grace or something?
Really good.
Something like that. Now I'll take this from guessing, gut feel, vanilla. But anyways, it's crazy good.
Yeah.
So every time you make a breakthrough or push through, like if you're playing on the Eastern Front or like in North Africa or whatever, you click that one and then you roll with your tanks, right? You break through and then you have all the supply you need when breaking through. So that supply grace is crazy good. And it's a must-have, to be honest.
In my notes, I said, depending on the situation and which doctrine I use, I might go for logistical wizard first. But you have a good point. You have a good point with what's it called? I made a guide about it.
I think it's called extra supplies.
Yes,
it's like fuel.
Yeah, but the mechanic, it's called
supply consumption.
Yeah, no, those extra buttons don't matter.
The button.
Yeah,
the button. I think the button is called extra supplies.
Yeah, but the.
Let it
go.
Okay.
Yeah, but still, yeah, I'm kind of with you there. The only negative with it, it's you need to have an organizer first, so you need to find an organizer, and it's two slots to get to logistical wizard. So you need to compare that logistical wizard, because that's the only thing you want with those two picks, for two other picks. That's my counter argument. I'm not sure I'm convincing myself though, because logistical wizard is that good.
Organizer isn't bad either.
But is it good though?
I mean, single player definitely. Multiplayer, I mean, it can be good, but it's like, I mean, it's very easy to get. And I mean, extra planning speed is always extra planning speed. It's not super bad.
Yeah, it's good.
I agree with you, but a logistical wizard is so important to have that. To use your command power and that extra supply button. I mean, and also the extra. I mean, it's number one priority for me.
Yeah,
definitely.
I'm
But then
half convinced. I'm
and
yeah.
okay, but then I would also go for So my ranking now, I'm just spitting it out there.
Yeah.
Log Wizard, prior number 1. After that, Offensive Doctrine. After that, before anything else, I would probably pick Charismatic. 10% recovery rate.
Yeah.
Yeah. We can argue about it after. And after that,
Yeah.
I would probably take stacking bonuses. So like that would mean like Panzer Leader and Panzer Expert, or I would take like a terrain trait.
Even though you
Or
get
some-
half of the.
Yes, even though we get half of it.
Okay.
So and especially a terrain trait, because the most common one is like in multiplayer. If you play, I'm not sure how it looks vanilla, but if you play like South Africa, you start with John Smuts as your is the
Mr.
best name.
Smuts.
The best name of field marshals if you're Swedish. But John Smuts, so it basically means John
Yeah,
Dirt.
dirt.
Yeah. He starts
I guess
with
that's a Yiddish word also, schmut. Ain't that?
maybe.
I think schmutz is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyways, he starts with Desert Fox. And basically, if you have Desert Fox on both your general and your field marshal, you get 10% extra attack and defense in maybe speed as well. Attack at least. Okay, I'm checking. Yeah, okay. Movement 5%, attack 10%, defense 10%.
Yeah.
That means on your field marshal that you will get 5% attack, 5% defense, and on your general you would get 10% plus 10%, so 15 in total.
Yeah.
Because you get half of the field marshal. I mean, that is good.
Yeah. I think I would say like this. I think I will make a guide about this because this needs some counting.
Yeah, okay. We need to minimax what's the optimized.
Yeah,
I mean, usually beggars can't be choosers.
I
Usually
need to release a Patreon guide this Thursday. It might be before or after this is.
Okay, but you can make the math behind it and see whatever is the most bang for the buck, probably.
I won't argue with you now because I checked the time and we can't really argue. We wanted
we need to go
on. Finish with the personality traits, didn't we?
But we can mention, because you mentioned Patreon, so maybe just make some self-promotion. So if you guys would consider becoming a patron, go to something Patreon /Hygge Gaming.
Yeah.
Then, it's somewhere on the internet. It's a challenge. Try to find it. If you find it, you can become a patron, and then you'll get 50% extra guides and content from us.
And access to our Discord. So you can actually speak to us for some reason.
Yeah, and no, but I mean, we're not that interesting, but all our other patrons, they are really interesting.
Yeah, they are.
They are much better at this than we are, to be honest. Yeah.
They are smashing us in the Discord.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, so we have one more.
Yes.
And that is personality traits.
Yes.
So, and I think personality traits, I'm not exactly sure where I draw the line, if it's personality traits or earned traits or whatever it's called. But of course, inflexible strategist or brilliant strategist are the two things you want to get.
Yeah, I didn't really think about them as personality traits.
No, maybe they're not by definition. Maybe they're not. But like all personality traits and all, there are two categories basically that you can start with as general. So when you're spawned as a general, you can get different traits.
Yeah,
it's like harsh leader or media personality, or the carrierist or whatever it's called. Like those different things. They don't only contain or mean what they say when you hover them, but they also make the general, when they go level up, that also makes the general go level up in certain skills or stats. So everyone puts the weight somewhere on the board for the stats. Yeah. So if you have like inflexible strategist and if you have media personality, that reshuffles the weight structure of when your general goes up one level, they will most likely get that and that stat.
Yeah.
for that level
So
up.
the different personality traits make them so different, can make them go for more attack. So when you
Yeah.
level up, you have more chance of getting attack, or you have more chance of getting planning or something else.
Exactly. And that's like the hidden thing that many people don't know. So maybe you don't think about, oh, this general has personality, media personality, and brilliant strategies. Great, I go for him. And then all of a sudden you get the wrong stats.
Yeah.
And you're like, why? I was so unlucky. I get only defense or
I
planning bonus or
guess
whatever.
inflexible strategists have a bonus for defense.
It has I think inflexible strategies has defense and supply.
Yeah.
I think those two are like the weight for that one. While I think brilliant strategists have attack and planning, for example.
Yeah.
So it's very important to, if you say this is going to be my general, this is going to be my tank general for the rest of the game, and you start grinding that general,
Yeah.
and that general have like 3 different traits from the start.
Yeah.
It might not be the general that you thought you would want to have.
No.
Depending on the traits you got.
And didn't you do a whole guide about this? Was it the Patreon guide or?
Yeah, it was. No, it was a Patreon. It was like the second or third Patreon guide I've ever made. So it's a very old one, but it's still like I did a lot of research on that subject, and it's it's one of the most underestimated subjects, I'd say. To be honest, it's really important, especially when you grind generals.
Yeah, and grinding generals is really, really fun, especially when you know what you want and how to get it.
It feels like playing Dota or MMORPG or something. You grind up in general, yeah. But and then I have
fighting on the main front. No, I'm grinding here in the forest.
I'm in Ethiopia grinding. I decided about I haven't fallen yet. Oh no, no. But and then a new one that popped up in some DLC recently. Inspirational bagpiper. That's the shit. And to be honest, disclaimer: I haven't checked what kind of stats that's prone to where the stats end up if you're inspirational bagpiper. But I'm just saying the stats of that one is great. It's
I haven't seen it actually.
I have to check in game now. So I would say
we're 32 minutes in, so I think that needs to be the last point.
Last point. Inspirational bagpiper. It gives you division experience gain 10%. That is awesome.
Yeah, that's great.
HP plus 10%.
Yeah.
Yes. And then, chance to get wounded in combat plus 65%, but no one really cares about that.
Unless you get wounded, but...
Yeah, so the UK starts with that, for example, a level 1. So it's a perfect one to grind up. Unless it gives you defense and, I don't know, planning. No. I have no idea what it gives you, but yeah.
And remember that defense also gives you breakthrough, so it's better than you think it is. But as we said, defense and breakthrough is not what you want for tanks because they have the breakthrough they need.
Exactly.
Yeah. So gonna wrap this up though.
Yes. Yeah. So I have nothing more to say. I think we said it all. We kind of agreed to most of the points, but you had a good point with the inflexible strategies. Well, though that was better than I expected.
And there was gonna be a guide about the best route here.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
And and still, I think that it's terrain traits.
Yeah,
it's kind of powerful to stack those on both field marshal and general if you can.
I agree.
Especially for North Africa or something like that, or Burma jungle. It's really, really powerful.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that was everything. See you next week, guys.
Yep. Bye.